Big win, Don Wilson here for Top MMA News, here with Joel Powell. And, before we get started, I got to say, not many people, know the name, but if you look at the record, let's talk about, besides the Joe Dorkson loss, win over Brant Dewsbury, probably one of the fastest rising welterweights in the country. Yeah. Also win over Advin Homage, another fast rising star. You've beaten these amazing guys, Why has it been so long since we get to see you in the cage, it seems?
The truth is, the reason why I can't get fights is because a lot of opponents keep pulling out, so that's the reason why I don't get fights. I'll take fights whenever, I just don't get the opponents.
Now, do you think that has to do with the style? Because everyone thinks you're one of those, just grimy, gritty wrestlers that take people down. But in the last couple fights, we've seen your hands just leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I don't really take guys down a lot. Yeah. I could at any time, but I like to mix it up. Yeah. I like to do wrestling and boxing at the same time, right?
Well, let's take a step back. We had the Joe Dorkson fight, which, I was very, liberal on the air, saying I wasn't a fan of that fight. I liked you at 170. Yeah. What made you want to take on Joe Dorkson at 185?
The reason why I took the Dorkson fight, there wasn't a lot of fights available. Yeah. So I had no choice, so I had to take it. So it's either I fight Dorkson or I never fight. So I'd rather just fight, right? It's
gotta pay the bills, right?
Yeah. Not even so much about the bills. Yeah. I just want to fight. I want to keep active. Yeah. And when I've been sitting for so long, I'll take any fight that comes around,
Now, have you been feeling it like everyone else around Ontario, that it is damn hard to get fights around here?
Yeah, Ontario is almost like never gonna happen. You never get any fights in Ontario.
Now, is that not weird, considering you were on the first ever card in Ontario, and then the sport basically dried up after 1 year in Ontario?
Yeah, I think because the commission is so expensive for guys to hold shows, so nobody's holding any shows, right? So that's what.
Well, you know what? Ontario doesn't get you, but Calgary gets you coming up. You're going to be taking on Andrew Buckland, a guy that's pretty much fought everyone inside Canada. What is your game plan coming into this fight?
For Buckland, I really don't have a specific game plan. I know he's a tough guy. Yep. It's going to be a good fight, and when we get in there, I'm just going to throw down. Whatever happens, happens,
Now, can you give us, like who do you attribute this newfound striking greatness to? Because, we knew you before. You were a great wrestler. You still like to throw. But the technique, especially displayed in the Dorkson fight, is huge, like I mentioned before. Who do you attribute that striking to?
I would say a lot of my striking came from, a lot of different boxing coaches. I would say my boxing coach right now with me, Nick Farrell, and the Grant brothers. Those are the two main guys that worked with my striking, right? And some Muay Thai, I worked with Gordy Gong. So those people kind of helped me develop.
Well, we hear a lot of people talking about the boxing from the Grant brothers. What have they done to incorporate boxing into the MMA game that makes it so useful to the fighters?
I think the thing with those guys is they kind of understand the MMA game more, and some boxers tend not to understand it, and they kind of mix it up, and they do their boxing towards MMA rather than towards boxing, So that helps a lot.
And you really seem to incorporate some really nice Muay Thai kicks as well. Who do you attribute that to?
My Muay Thai kicks, I would say, basically the local Hamilton Muay Thai guys like Gordy Gong and stuff like that. Hamilton Muay Thai, that's where I developed my kicks and stuff. And I didn't use the kicks a lot. I wanted to, but because I know Dirkson's a grappler, so I didn't want him catching my kicks. So that's what.
Were you worried about his grappling at all going in? Because obviously, he off his back, he might be a favorite, but on top, you're probably the favorite. It had to be on the feet that was the.
To be honest, I wasn't really worried about his grappling because I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. A black belt doesn't threaten me at all. I don't care what belt level they are. It's all good. The problem is with Dirkson, I saw that I was being successful standing. So I'm like, he wasn't liking the standing, so that's why I kept it standing.
Well, you did phenomenal, and it's definitely so far my pick for Fight of the Year. That was a great back and forth contest. Now, we can't end this interview without talking about your brother, Josh. What's going on with him?
With Josh, he kind of took a break. He'll be back soon, though. He was on a bit of a break, working more and focusing more on the business. But eventually he'll be back.
Perfect. Now, what is it? Because we've seen a lot with the Davis brothers, the Mahan brothers, the Powell brothers. What is it with a brother duo that makes you guys tougher? Is it because you've been fighting since you were kids, or is it that back and forth in the gym that no one can push you better than your own bro?
I guess maybe it's like that sibling rivalry. That's what makes us better and tougher, right? So that's probably it.
I got to ask, I'm sure it's happened. who right now is ahead in the count? Is it Joel or Josh? Who wins the fights more in the cage? Because I'm sure that's something a lot of fans would want to see.
Who wins the fights more?
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't know. I don't know. Yeah, we don't compete against each other like that.
You don't in the cage just go at it in training and sparring and see who gets the better of each other?
On the cage, not really.
Not really?
Honestly, that's how guys get hurt. So
Yeah,
we
that's
tend not
true,
to
that's
get
true.
too competitive in the gym, right?
Well, you want to at least you're not hurt. You got the fight coming up. Now, before we let you go, family, friends, sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
A lot of my sponsors I would like to thank is like Perfect Nutrition, who gives me all my supplements, and Heritage Foods Group and the Discipline MMA Gym.
Yeah.
Those are my main people. And my boxing coach, Nick Farrell, my wrestling coach, Dave Mayer, my manager, Talbot Teslick,
Yep.
and my girlfriend I never won. All right.
Perfect. Well, once again, folks, big win, Don Wilson. Joel Powell, top MMA news.